Right, you're watching TVC Breakfast. This segment, we're discussing telomeres. Say there are things around chromosomes that can make people live longer or live shorter, depending on how healthy it is. So we have Dr. Rasheed Abbasi here with us in the studio, the Chief Medical Director of Heritage Men's Clinic, to help us understand how to live longer. You are making a point here.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. The telomeres are basic proteins. So they're like shields at the end of each chromosome, and we all have chromosomes. Chromosomes are just basic biological markers from the DNA, and they allow our cells to communicate. So what the latest research out of the human genome now brought to our attention is that the longer your telomeres, the longer you live. But that's actually not the big news. The big news is we can affect these telomeres.
Wow.
You can make lifestyle changes. You can eat foods that can actually lengthen or shorten your telomeres.
Wow. Good to know.
All right, good to know. And it's good you're making it, rather simple. But there's something about, from the little I've read up on it, I must confess, the more I read, the more I appear to be confused. But let me just, take you from the little I was able to pick is, as we age, as against a newborn baby, there is something about the quality of telomeres that I have as compared with either younger one and as compared with an older person. So help us understand, that and what we can do in terms of the lifestyle changes.
Absolutely. So the older we live, without making attention to these lifestyle changes, we're exposed to what is called inflammation. So inflammatory processes are the basic causes of cardiovascular issues: heart attack, stroke, myocardial infarction, somebody having uncontrolled high blood pressure, insufficient sleep. You are creating internal stressors. These stressors lead to inflammation. So that will affect your telomeres. Compared to newborn babies, they've not been exposed to any form of stress, no inflammation at all. They depend on you, the mothers and the parents, to provide everything for them. The older you get and you start acquiring these life stressors, your body accumulates a lot of inflammatory processes, and those are the ones that affect your telomeres. They actually shorten your telomeres, and that means you're going to lose a lot of quality life. But the good news, things like good sleep. If you can get adequate good sleep, we're not talking just about the quantity, we're talking the quality of sleep. It's not the type of sleep where you're sleeping and your spouse opens the door and you're aware. No, you are not getting into deep sleep. Deep stage 4 sleep will help you lengthen your telomeres.
Okay. Now, this, when we talk about sleep,
Yes.
quality or quantity of sleep, now, in a city like Lagos, please talk to us. You here, we're here.
Yes,
In this city where the city never sleeps. Lagos never sleeps.
Yes.
Everyone is so busy trying to catch up with time, trying to meet up this, trying to meet up that. Besides the work, there are others who try to make ends meet for their families and all of that. Everybody is busy.
Yes.
How do you guarantee quality sleep, and even quantity of sleep at this time?
Excellent. It's given we are in a stressful environment, the West Africa, and considering Lagos. Lagos is like New York on steroids. Then we also have to be mindful that health is wealth. Ability to run around and get all these things done depend on how healthy you and I are. So the sleep we're talking about can be cat naps. You're stuck in traffic, or you're going to be stuck in traffic, then don't get into that traffic. You can take 30 minutes, 45 minutes of nap during the day. And the study shows that if you're able to do that 2 or 3 times a week, your telomeres will actually increase.
Wow.
Because those are different from your night sleep. By the time you get home, you're stressed, and you're just going to be getting I'm tired kind of sleep. That does not get you into stage 4 sleep. But during the day, when it's a choice. Do I get into this little third mainland traffic, or let me just take a cat nap? 30 minutes, 45 minutes helps a lot.
So what we may call, just a minute, what we may call siesta, or
Yes.
sleep in the afternoon,
Yes.
is different from the sleep in the night.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And has different benefits, so to speak, or it's like an add-on benefit, kind of.
So the one you sleep during the day, like the siesta, the cat naps, those are considered your mini service to your vehicle. Like you take your car for services. They're different from when you're going for major oil change, major transmission repair. That's the night time. But both of them have been shown that if you're able to get good sleep like that, your body does the restorative process, the cleansing process. And we've mentioned on this show before, you cannot make up sleep on weekend. So don't say, oh, I'm not doing saving money. No, it's not possible.
Just stay in bed. Stay in bed and sleep.
It's not realistic.
But what would you consider quality sleep, really? what would you really consider quality sleep?
So to the layman, there are 4 stages of sleep. When you and I start dozing off, you're not sleeping yet. But when you get to stage 4 of sleep, some people consider that's when you are snoring, when your muscles are paralyzed. But basically, you are unaware of your surroundings. That's when your body does the lymphatic, which is cleaning of the process. Your brain cells get cleaned, all your energy of the day are collected back. That is the type of sleep we're talking about. I don't want you to be aware, or you don't sleep where there is music, get your cell phone turned off, let the room be a little cooler, and get yourself that sleep, because that's the only way your body can recover.
Wow.
But then the snoring element of that stage 4 sleep has also been termed a disorder in itself. But of course, I take your point that, the key word is, quality sleep and, giving yourself that needed rest. But let's also talk about the link of telomeres, the link between telomeres and cancer. There's something that popped up, frequently in the little research we did about, how what you need to also do to protect your telomeres from cancer.
Yes. And so besides the fact that we know that health is wealth, what you actually consume is also part of who we are. So the more we can slow down the consumptions of all these processed, carbonated food, because they do not give us any good stuff. They lead to a lot of inflammation. Inflammatory consumption will lead to cancer. And that is what the telomeres are trying to avoid. And we have tons of these good foods around West Africa. We're talking beans, we're talking lentils. These are rich in fiber, and they're very low in fat, and that's what we need.
So talk to us about the lifestyle that you talked about. When it comes to exercise, for instance, like we talked about sleep earlier. A lot of persons don't have time for exercise. They say do exercise the field. Well, I'm trekking to the office, and I'm trekking from my junction to the house. So that is exercise. Should that suffice?
Good. So what we're talking about is we don't want stress-induced exercise. If I'm working for you and you're sending me up and down, that's under stress. We're talking just regular walk. This is not Olympic-type exercise. 15 minutes in the morning, 15 minutes in the evening after your dinner. Because most of us make the mistake. We live in a stressful environment. We get home late. We eat heavy swallows, and then we fall asleep. Those are all counterproductive to your telomeres. But after your meal, just go for 15 minutes, even around your compound or your estate. It's been shown dramatically to reduce the cases of cancers. And we're talking from breast cancer to prostate cancer in men, just by doing 15 minutes of work twice a day.
But what makes a difference with if I'm sending you, go and make photocopies for me, go and buy akara, go and buy buy puff, whatever the thing is, you're still exercising. So what makes that difference to the one that you were walking around because you've taken swallow?
Good. You're my boss. You're sending me to do this. That's under stress. I have to get those things done for you. 4, 5 shots, I need to get them done under 30 minutes.
So there's urgency.
There's urgency.
Within me, which is having like psychological...
And also your state of mind.
Right.
Yes, your body releases a lot of cortisol. That's stress, because I know I need to get those things done. Compared to, I'm on my own time. Nobody is putting any gun to my head, and I'm just going for regular walk. Your cortisol level goes down, and that allows your body to release endorphins. Endorphins are like cleaners. They are like your bleach for the telomeres. The telomeres thrive under those conditions.
Right, and all of this, it's astounding. Let me confess that something that looks so scientific, that looks so bogus as telomeres, can just be brought down to the issue of basic lifestyle changes like water, sleep, food, walking. But these are ideals that the average person, average Nigerian has yet to achieve. So what do you think we can do more? Is it a matter of policy? Is it a matter of more advocacy from your part? What do you think we can do more to to bring this down to as much people as should benefit?
Yeah, we all have a task to play. We want to make a lot of educated consumers. Most of our listeners, we want them to be aware that these things are important. And our great-grandfathers used to have all this. They walk a lot of places. They eat unprocessed foods. And I understand this, the financial conditions now that people just grab things on the road. But basic things like avoiding salt. Let's educate everybody about salt consumption. We consume salt more than anybody else. And salt will give you nothing but inflammation. Your blood pressure will go up. So if we can, from today, just taking it as a take-home.
But how do we eat all the beautiful, tasty soups without salt? Like you would like to say, the Bible says we are salt of the world.
in a different religious way. But this particular, your taste buds will adjust. It takes about 7 to 10 days. Your taste bud will adjust because salt is not meant to be consumed. They're just supposed to protect our food. These are things to preserve. It's not for us to consume. And it's not only the plain salt, the magis of this world, we need to avoid those. The seasonings. Because these are secret ways. And part of the problem is a lot of people, especially those who are on the bottom, they just grab things from a put. They have no control over that. But if you can reduce that, yeah, it cannot be done overnight, but let's make an action plan. Wow. And, park your car far away for those that can afford cars. Walk a little bit. Every little bit is like putting money in the bank.
It seems this is more of issues of awareness, self-awareness of what, one has to do. We've talked about the issue of eating healthy and so on, but you're connecting them to the telomeres that can make one live longer. Now, how does telomeres guarantee long life in this instance now? Can you break that scientific thing to just everyday the layman, to understand?
Great. So all of us are made of cells. Each cell has got a chromosome, and the telomeres are the shield at the tail end of the chromosomes. Your cell and my cell, when we were 10 years ago, was not degrading. So if you see me 5 years from now, I'll definitely look older. That tells you that a lot of my DNA are broken down. Okay. If my telomeres are doing their job and I'm giving them the tools, they will prevent as much
the aging.
The aging. So they will slow it down. So because they are your protectors, like the shoelace you talked about. If you don't have it on, then they come off. So if I can slow down my inflammation, if I can get good sleep, if I can make sure I'm eating well, I'm walking and drinking lots of water, my telomeres will flourish. The more they flourish, the more they protect my DNA from breaking down. And then the younger I look. And then I can live a quality life.
So the telomeres are reflected on the way you look, and maybe the strength you also have, and all of that.
Oh yes, the quality of life you get, because these are basically, they're your protectors. They protect your DNA. If your DNAs are not protected, it gets exposed to all the inflammatory process going on, and then they break down. The more they break down, the wrinkles come in, your energy gets deprived, and in men, we lose a lot of our testosterone, and that affects us in the bedroom.
Yeah, that room.
And then, the issue of, as you age, the need to, is it replicate cells now? But try and help us, address that, because another concern is our bodies differ, and the rate at which our bodies also produce this, the cells also differ. So what Nigerians need to know about this. Earlier on, you spoke about, the shortness in, is it the telomeres now, right? As you age, the shoelaces and all that, like to get to a point where the cells, stop rebuilding itself, and so there's need to make sure that the body keeps doing this exercise.
Yes, absolutely. So all our cells they undergo a programming process, the end of which is called apoptosis, which is controlled death. So what you want to do is supply your telomeres with all the things they need. Your telomeres are not asking for too much. Give them enough water, give them enough rest. The rest, the sleep we get, allows them time to reprogram. So because your cell is programmed to replicate at one point or there, the more they replicate, the closer they are getting to their death date. So your telomeres are here to now reverse that. And the more you can provide your telomeres, the better you and I will be.
Talk to us about water. You just mentioned it in passing now. Yes. How important is that, is water to preserving the telomeres? Excellent. Or nourishing the telomeres?
Excellent. All the stressors in your body and my body need something to get rid of them. And your kidney is dying for as much water. And people will ask, how much water do I need to drink? Look at the color of your urine. The more your urine is clear and your urine does not form bubbles, your kidney says, I have enough water. That amount of water cleans out all these deadly toxins, all the inflammatory process. So the more water you drink, the better you feel.
Medical professionals don't seem to agree on this issue you mentioned about timing in drinking water, because for me, for example, now I tend to drink more water when I realize I haven't taken enough water during the day. Yeah. I now try to stuff myself indirectly, so to speak, with water towards the nighttime. And of course, I hear that is not exactly the way to go. But help us clarify this position.
So the goal is, as good as the water is, you don't want it to be counterproductive to your sleep. So that's why most of those medical people say don't take it close to your bedtime. So if you can space it out during the day, and I'm guilty of the same thing. It's only when I go to the loo I realize, oh, my urine is yellow. I need to drink more. So if we can be conversant of that and you drink throughout the day, cut out your water drinking 2-3 hours before bedtime. Although your bladder can hold your urine for about 8 hours, but you want a good, sound, uninterrupted sleep. So water throughout the day helps you, and you know how much when you pee, the urine should be clear and there should be no bubbles.
Speak to us on some other environmental factors that can, dent the telomeres. For instance, issues, the climate change now, how we have harsh weather. Even there are people who work in areas where there's radiation, and so on. How does that impact? How does that impact the telomeres?
Yes, a lot of us, we work and we live close to a lot of pollution. There is one by motorways where the dumpster is. If you walk by there during the day, the amount of stink you hear, and these are all deadly gases. The exposure to these deadly gases, we inhale them. They become an inflammatory precursor and they affect your telomeres. So yes, if we cannot control outside, let's control our indoors. No burning of stove inside the house because that increases your carbon monoxide, it decreases your oxygen, it causes a lot of inflammation. Talking about snoring the other time, snoring means that you're not getting enough oxygen into your brain. That causes a lot of inflammatory process. And these are things within our own control. And of course, do not consume processed food. All this food in the can, all these carbonated drinks, they're not good for us. Right. They are precursors.
And I notice you're not talking exactly about, this sex having or being at risk than the other sex. These are general principles, and it's not also limited to your age. It's something that one can start at an early age.
But he said he affects the action in the other
the men. Okay. And I understand that should stand out for you. But, doctor, also speak to us about, this long-standing debate, because there's still some ignorance as to, GMOs versus, organic foods now. So, explain to us how maybe a better informed Nigeria, at least whatever we are eating, let's be sure that it is, it is safe and good to eat.
No, excellent question. We are what we consume. We are what we eat. So let's look at the genesis of all these GMOs. The goal was the more they can put these chemicals in the food will multiply because the world population is increasing. We are now paying the price. Look at the cases of chicken. They pump them with a bunch of antibiotics. Those antibiotics are not going anywhere but you and I. So now when next you go to your doctor for any small thing, those antibiotics are no longer effective. That's one issue. The more antibiotics all these kids are consuming, you see 5-6-year-old kid turning to be 4 foot, 8 foot. What's going on? Their joint spaces are being exposed. We're going to pay the price down the road, and we're already doing that now. So let's go back to what our great-grandparents used to do, organic, unprocessed food. That's how nature is meant to be. If you do that, you are consuming less of inflammatory process because it's all about inflammation. Your telomeres want you to consume less inflammatory processed food.
For a city like Lagos, I wonder how you're going to have access to exactly food. I like that. Food on the go, where when you're talking about natural food, right, organic food, of course you may have but too many processed food around. But I need you to go back to the issue of the urine and all of that, because these are everyday things. Now, there are sometimes the color of the urine, the yellow, the orange, the very pure white, and all of that. Then there's also the issue of foam. Talk to us about which is healthy, which is not healthy, which means that you have to watch it.
Watch it, yes. So 2 things you and I don't want in our urine. We don't want any color. And I'm not going to buy the excuse of, I took multivitamins, because people tell you all that. I took multivitamins and then my urine, I took antibiotics. No, your body's physiology is not like that. The more water you drink, your kidney is happy. Your kidney does what is called osmoregulation. It cleans you out. The more you supply the water, it does not have to reuse the water. So when you see color, that's alarm sign. It's not the 20 million alarm, but it's knocking on the door. Color in your urine is a no-no. But foaming tells you the kidney is crying. The kidney is saying, I'm on my deathbed. The more you see foaming in your urine, your kidney is about to crash. And don't take that from me. That's basic science. So no color and no foaming. And you can reverse that by drinking more water. And we see that even in young men now. Because those 2 things lead to dehydration. Guess what? It lowers your testosterone and is affecting the sperm count.
Wow.
All right. And okay, so these are triggers, but try and help us expand these triggers, because of course, in addition to all the concerns before us as a country is people don't listen to their body as much, and doctors like yourself are always saying this is a particular time to go to the doctor or to take some drastic changes to your health. But help us understand, for the sake of telomeres now, triggers that people need to be aware of.
Absolutely. So yes, we want everybody to be educated consumers. You pee, you drink every day, you look at your urine. But there are other salient signs before your kidney gets to the point of failure. We always mention in medical school and to my students, there are 3 things all of us need to pay attention to. There are 3 sizes, 3 numbers. Your neck size as a man. If your neck size is more than 17, you're going to have problem with oxygenation because you're going to be snoring.
So in terms of width? In
terms of width. Okay. So you measure your neck size. If you get into 17 as a man, it's issue, it's a problem. And that is not a spiritual thing, it's just basic science. Wow. The next thing for men and women is our waist size. For men, it's 40, for women, it's 35. If you're crossing that threshold, you are just indulging in a lot of inflammation. You are indulging in fat.
Irrespective of your frame and all of that?
Absolutely.
Wow.
And the third one is your blood pressure. Blood pressure are different for everybody, but you want to know what the top one is, that's your systolic, you want to know the bottom one. If your bottom is above 80, you are not getting enough sleep. No ifs, ands, or buts. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. So if you're mindful of those 3 numbers, sure, you will be able to pay attention to the color of your urine. And as much cat naps as you can get during the day, it helps. Because we are seeing it in men's health. We are seeing it. Globally, procreation rate is gone down. Why? Men's sperm count are on the decline. And divorce rate is high. Because women are not only looking for money, they want money, but they want passion in the bedroom. And men are failing on both fronts.
Somebody give me water here.
And let me edit that. Just as the men should be cautious of that, women obviously,
no, of course,
their partners will also, should also find this.
Yeah, of course. The point there is, when it goes well, the both persons are going to be happy. So they need to help each other in that.
Right.
Now, speak to us about food supplements. Sometimes people take food supplement. How does it threaten, or how does it help to repair or complement what we have in the inside?
The basic understanding is we have to know that all these supplements are chemicals. So the better alternatives is good food, unprocessed food. But if you don't have access to this, then just go for complete multivitamin. Don't be nitpicking. Don't say vitamin C today, vitamin D. Just go for a complete multivitamin. Complete multivitamin, they have tons of them now that are even age appropriate. And what that does is it gives you micronutrients just at the right concentration. So don't be picky. Don't say vitamin C today, vitamin D. No. Complete multivitamin, it's all you need if you know you're not having access to a well-balanced diet.
See, everyone has telomeres, attached to their chromosome, and because we're made up of cells. That's what the medical doctor told us here. But you can elongate your telomeres and make you live longer by your lifestyle and what you eat and some other things. He's breaking them down for us today. Dr. Rasheed Abbasi is here. He's the Chief Medical Director of Heritage Men's Clinic. It's helping us to understand life and how to live longer. Now, let's talk about blood transfusion. Some people have this notion that if you're getting old, those who have the monies to do that, you can flush out your blood, and then, you infuse something new or fresher, and then, or something younger that makes you look more vibrant or something. How does that work? Is that even true? Make us understand.
That's a big myth, and it's a big myth that has been around for a long time. But let me break down the physiology. Every human being goes through blood transfusion every 28 days. Let me say that again. Your body is a complex machine that transfuses itself every 28 days. That's the essence of your spleen, the essence of your kidney, and your bone marrow. You make new blood cells. So you don't need to get mine, or you don't need to get an athlete's blood to get that done. All you need to do is supply your body the right materials. The grass is not always greener on the other side when it comes to transfusion. Because the more you get exposed to another person's blood transfused, you're going to be developing antibodies. Antibodies that are foreign to you. So you're going to be triggering your own immune system. You don't want that. You don't want to. Your immune system are meant to defend you. They are supposed to be triggered against something foreign. Don't put too much job on them. That's an additional stress. Again, it's going to lead to a lot of inflammatory process, affect your telomeres. It's going to cut them short. You don't want that. They supply your body with what it needs. Adequate sleep, adequate water, go for regular walk. When it's time for your body to transfuse itself, which is every 28 days, women do this all the time, men do the same thing, your kidney, your bone marrow will provide you the right type of cells you need.
Right. I also wanted to quickly clarify on a point you earlier made where you said the bladder can store urine for up to 8 hours. But do you mean when it is full or as, building up? Because, of course, there's the concern of if you store urine in your system for this long, maybe the sleep is sweet, you're at that stage where you can't stand up. Well, I always have that consciousness. I don't know how true it is, about having a full bladder.
No, excellent question. So the essence for that is because some men, especially men that may be having issues with their prostate, they wake up every hour in the middle of the night and their sleep is interrupted. And we get worried about that because if you're just making body urine, your bladder is just a muscle. It will stretch and allow you to sleep from like 10 p.m. until 5 for you to wake up and pee. So your bladder can do that. But to your point, it's well accepted. When you get the sense to pee, get up and pee. Because below your bladder for men especially is our prostate. The prostate is a clean gland. And you're holding to your urine which contains bacteria. There is no gate, it gets into that. That's why we do not want you to hold, especially for men. When you get the sense that you need to pee, get out, excuse yourself to pee because you're getting rid of waste. But as a matter of physiology, your body's bladder can stretch. So it can allow you to go to bed at 10 p.m. and not get up until 5, 6 to pee.
That's why the first thing we do sometimes when you wake up is you need to, to urinate. To
empty your bladder.
All right, talk to us about herbal drinks. The one people call agbo jedi, and all of that. One would feel that those things are from herbs, are from leaves, are from roots, and they're natural. You talked about eating natural, drinking natural earlier. So one would say, well, so long as you're taking those, it's still natural.
No, that's a good point. And I'm not here to bash herbs because all these Western medications are actually products of these herbs. But the issue we have with all these okpeleye, this concoction, they don't have any appropriate dosages. Some of them are just, you soak them, some they soak in water, some they soak in ethanol, some they soak in methanol. These are all things that are not regulated. And it doesn't have it to go to the extent of the agbo. We're even talking about carbonated drinks. Some of them that are just processed, and they are loaded with caffeine. These are like poisons. So yes, nothing against the agbo if you're sure that you actually know what you're consuming. If you're sure you know the dosage you're consuming, go for it. But we always recommend take these at your own because you need a doctor's advice. Some of these come with the side effect. They knock out your kidneys, they knock out your liver. You don't want to be trading one problem for the other.
For another, yeah.
And that's the issue we have. I grew up on agbo, but now it's extremely difficult because...
Do you still take it?
No, I don't. That's just very true. Because I don't know the concentration.
Okay, so now you're wiser. So the users and those in that system would say, and we see some of them that the outlooks appear to have changed. There appears to be more research. We're seeing NAFDAC, of course, taking tough measures, but many of them are coming, to the TV now to talk about, the research that have been, pumped into herbal medication. So I don't know. Things appear to be changing.
No, and I agree with that. And that's where, to your earlier point about policy changes, we need to encourage this because from all this research and development, then we might come up with how to regulate them, how to say this is the right amount of concentration you need to consume. You'll be surprised. You go to any bus station, there are 10, 20 people ready to sell you different opinions. And there is no particular regulation to it. So the more you drink, then you're exposing yourself. So yes, we need policy changes at this point. We need NAFDAC to be empowered more to be able to regulate this stuff. There's nothing wrong with that.
All right. Well, as we round off, when you go for an event or you come to my house, I'm going to give you red wine somehow. And there's this feeling, too, that assumption that red wine is very good for the heart. Where people go to places, they say, oh, there's white wine, there's red wine. No, give me red wine. Give me red. Talk to us about that. How does that help us or how does that not help us?
So it came from the old notion about an apple a day takes the doctor away from you. If you look at the chemical composition of red wine, they contain what we call flavonoids. These are anti-inflammatory. Again, it goes back to what your telomeres want. If you don't get enough sleep, your body releases internal stressors that goes to high inflammation. If you drink a glass of red wine with 1 or 2 dinners a week, you are giving your body anti-inflammatory products. So they slow down the inflammatory process.
So the nutshell, red wine is good.
Red wine is absolutely
In
good.
addition to all the other, to the regular, more natural, yes. Right? But your point is.
But red wine is not beer.
Yes, red wine is different.
So what's the difference now?
It's the alcohol concentration.
Okay.
And beer, of course, they're all fermented. Beer does not contain enough flavonoids. These are the anti-inflammatory process. That is the advantage. Most red wines are made from grapes. The more colored grapes are good for you because of anti-inflammatory processes.
I see. Oh, that's good. All right, I think I'll have to take more red wine then.
I might just go for plunge into, into it.
All right, we have to leave you here now. Dr. Rasheed Abbasi, Chief Medical Director of Heritage Men's Clinic. Thank you so much for letting us know about telomeres.
Hello.
And I believe Nigerians have been enlightened
Very.
That we can live longer, actually. It's our choice to live longer, depending on how you care for your telomere. And you have talked about drinking more water, getting adequate sleep, quality sleep, and then good food, and some exercise.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you so much.
So it boils down to
always
the same,
my pleasure.
And then red wine.
Ah.
Thank you very much. Thank you.